Well, hey guys, my name is Mark, and I'm starting a new channel. And the channel is going to be about retirement. I'm not really sure that a whole lot of folks will be interested in my content. Maybe they will, but I'm more or less starting this channel to sort of record my own journey as I begin retirement here in 30 days. And so I'm really looking forward to it. To give you a brief background about myself, I thought I had started planning for retirement probably a little bit too late in life. I'm 59 years old, and I decided here just in the last 3 months to take an early retirement. And we'll talk about a little bit more about that in some of the upcoming videos. But I'm 59 years old, and I spent probably the first 45 years of my life working and not saving. Didn't have anything saved. When I was 45 years old, I had probably about $30,000 in credit card debt. If I'm not mistaken, the interest rate seems like it was like 19 or maybe 20, 25%. I don't remember. But I had about $30,000 in credit card debt. I had a motorcycle payment. I love motorcycles. And I had a truck payment, had a mortgage, and I had student loans. My student loans at that time was probably about $60,000 that I had left to pay. And that's only been about 15, 16, 17 years ago. When I would look at my bills and when I would look at, my pay and subtract all the bills, I thought there was, it was so frustrating. It was so discouraging to look at what I had left over and then to know that I was in my mid 40s and I didn't have any money saved. I had a small 401k, but I didn't have a whole lot of money on the side, and so I got serious when I was probably, I guess, about 15 years ago, and I took a second job. I started really hustling. I mean, I was working. I was working two jobs. Worked two jobs for the next, I don't know, 7 or 8, 9 years. And what I would do is I would take every extra bit of money that I had, and I would put it. First, I paid off the credit cards, and then I finally got a motorcycle paid off, and got my vehicles paid off, and I started saving. My wife and I, and we were diligent. I mean, we saved. We really went without to try to catch up because we were so far behind. And so I started investing. I started a Roth IRA here, I guess, when I was about 45 years old. Long story short, I was planning on working till I was either 63, maybe 64, 65, up until about 3 months ago, 4 months ago, and we've had some. We've been fortunate on some of our investments. I mean, we're not filthy rich or anything. We've done well as far as investments over the last couple of years, but again, we're not rich. We just can't take trips around the world. But I was waiting on a certain amount, a certain monetary figure as far as retiring. And I'm a veteran, so about 6 months ago, I decided for the first time since I'd gotten out of the since I've gotten out of the military, which has been quite a few years ago, I decided to go to the VA. I was having a couple of health issues, and decided to go to the VA to get checked out. And didn't know anything about VA healthcare. Didn't know anything about the VA, but I went and had a couple of tests, X-rays. They did a CT scan, and I found out that I had scarred lungs and from toxic exposure from back in the day, and also had an aneurysm on my aorta. It's only a 4.2, but I really started thinking, and about retirement and about enjoying my life and me and my wife enjoying our lives together. And I started weighing. I mean, is the time that I'm forfeiting worth the money that I'm making? And I've got a good job. I love my job. I don't make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. I'm more in probably the average income. My wife works, and we've just been very, very diligently saving and investing over the last 8 or 10 years, maybe 12 years. And so I decided to go ahead and to pull the ripcord and to to go ahead and retire. And so I'm retiring officially in 30 more days. I've got one more month. And I've got mixed emotions. I'm really excited about it, but at the same time, I'm pretty nervous. I'm not going to tell you no lie. I mean, I've got a notebook full of figures, full of numbers, and I'll add up the investments, and I'll add up what we have coming in, and I'll subtract our bills, and I'll do it so many different ways, and I think we're going to be okay. But I'm a part of that I'm a part of that population that we don't have millions and millions of dollars and saved up, and so what I want to do over the next in the coming with coming videos is I want to talk about what we did as far as going from about $350,000-$400,000 in debt, how we got our bills paid off. And for the last 8 or 9 years, we haven't had any bills. We even paid off our house. But how we did that, I'm going to talk about in some of the videos how we divided up our money in investments. I mean, what we invested in, how we invested, how we've sort of, the money is the interest, and as we've gotten dividends and different things. I mean, how we've, how we've continued to invest, and how we've tried to play it a little bit safer over the last year or two as we knew we were approaching, getting closer to retirement. And I also want to talk to you about assets. When I was young, when I was in my 20s and 30s, I was thinking the other day, I was stationed in Fallon, Nevada, Naval Air Station, Fallon, Nevada. And I had gone to Reno, to a place and this is back in the late 80s, early 90s. But I had gone to a place called the Bird Farm. We used to go to a casino called the Golden Nugget, and then there was one called the Bird Farm in Reno. And I think it was in Reno. It might have been in Fallon, but we would take a bus from Fallon to Reno, and we went to different casinos. But anyway, one night I was fortunate enough to win $7,500. Now this was, like I said, this was in the late 80s. That was a lot of money. And I was coming home on leave that weekend. And I think it was a Thursday night, it seems like, when I won the $7,500. And that money was burning a hole in my pocket. I had a little Nissan Frontier, a little 86 and a half. First year the Nissan hard bodies came out. And I just bought one a couple of months later. And I jumped in that truck and I was driving it from Fallon, Nevada to Alabama. Now, I'm from Alabama. And that money was burning a hole in my pocket. I had it in cash, and instead of putting it in a savings account, I stopped at a motorcycle dealership in Meridian, Mississippi, and I planned on just taking a break, going in there, looking around, leaving, going on home to visit my parents. And lo and behold, if I didn't spend that $7,500 and buy a motorcycle, and I had them put it in the back of my truck, and I was already broke. But that's sort of been I guess that's sort of been a very good example of my life over the years, especially the first 45 years. I bought vehicles about every couple of years. I'd get tired of my truck, trade it in, sell it, whatever, and then go buy a new vehicle. I've had, I don't know how many motorcycles. I went to college, and so I, couldn't afford to go to college. So I had to take out student loans, and took out almost $100,000 in student loans, and then I had to pay that back. Just different bills, credit cards, trying to get by each month. And but what I want to talk about in some of the videos is what we did, and not that that'll be the ticket for you. It may not be a plan for you, but how we got out of debt, and how we invested our money once we got out of debt. And I got to the point when I was in my mid 40s, when I started really getting serious about paying off my debt and thinking that one day I might want to retire. We started looking at how we bought assets. I mean, even cars and our trucks and the things that we bought. We started looking at how we bought them a little bit different. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that, about how we what we did to, how we looked at buying the assets, or the things that we needed, how we went about that. And then again, talk about a little bit of the investments that we've made. And I want to just keep a track record over the next at least few months, maybe over the next couple of years, however long. Maybe this channel will do pretty good, and maybe it won't. But this will be, it's more for my personal use, and maybe my children will listen to it one day, and they're in their 20s. But maybe they won't do like I did for so many years. But I'm just going to track my early retirement. I'm very, very excited about retiring. And again, I love my job, and I make decent. It's a very good job, but I'm just burnt out. 59 years old. Found out I had a couple of health issues, and yeah, I'm ready for a change. I'm ready for a change in life. So I went out here a couple of months ago and I bought a Can-Am Defender. It's a side by side, and I'm looking for a metal detector. And my thought is, when I retire next month in this spring, I'm going to start doing some metal detecting. I'm going to start treasure hunting. And but anyway, I've got a few other plans, and I'm going to be keeping up with how retirement's going, early retirement. I mean, I feel like that I'm still young enough. If I need to go back to work in a couple of years, hopefully I can. But I think we can make this happen, and I think we can. I think things will be okay. But anyway, this channel is going to be dedicated to retirement and to early retirement, to my early retirement, and just sort of gauging what goes on and how we got here and how we do from here. But if you're interested in this type of content, I would ask you to like the page, subscribe to the page, and I'm planning on probably recording maybe 1 or 2 videos a week. And so the next video, I'm going to actually talk about how we sort of divided up our money as we've gotten closer to retirement. But I hope you have a good rest of your day. I hope you have a good week, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.